Bridges houses high school students who live on their own. Some of the terms used for students living on their own include unaccompanied youth, homeless youth. They are students who live on their own due to no fault of their own. So what that means is that they haven't done anything bad to live here. They, for whatever reason, have a parent or guardian that just isn't able to give them a safe home or a steady home to live in, and they desire a place to lay their heads and go to sleep, and that's what Bridges provides. We do have a mentorship program, and with those services, we connect students with mentors who match that student's job interests, studying interests, and sometimes I connect students with mentors who are unlike their career interest. It really all has to deal with the network that that person is able to provide. And of course, there's some research that shows that the best network match to have is one unlike your own, because then those nodes of information, those types of people vary, and that furthers the possibility that you're able to meet the goals that you have. My aim is always to match every single student living at Bridges with a mentor. Of course, we had the reality of the pandemic in 2020. We did have mentors matched right before that. And I can tell you they were great at still wanting to find ways to connect with our students, even virtually or with safe social distancing. Again, my goal is to match every single one of our students. The reality is that, our program doesn't have a start or stop. And so sometimes it's that a student just needs to be with us briefly. And if a student just needs to be with us briefly, then, it's harder for me to hustle and get them matched with someone. But when I see that a student is going to be here with us longer term, then I do work to get them matched. We have a capacity of housing 20 youth. So we have 20 one-bedroom apartments. We also have a program that is non-residential. So some of the students still are able to receive the benefits of being part of Bridges program, just without the roof over their head and without the, pillow to lay their heads down. The types of high school students who tend to be non-residential still have a safe place to live, but just need that additional support. We're starting to see that more often with students who live with a grandparent, and that grandparent may have, kind of a limited income. We had a student working full-time, a senior last year working full-time to help support himself and his grandmother. But he wanted to stay with grandma, make sure she was okay. And we made sure that we got him the cap and gown, the counseling, the other benefits of living at Bridges. We do. So everybody that goes through the Bridges program could use a mentor. We do have two types of mentors, if you will. We've got a traditional mentor, and we have career coaches. The career coaches tend to be a little bit more short term. They might be job shadow hosts. They might be someone to just meet for tea or coffee or lunch to discuss what their career interests are, or college interests are, or even entrepreneurship interests. And so because of that flexibility and types of mentors we have, we're also able to apply that flexibility to whether the student is a non-residential or residential student as well. I currently post on social media. We do kind of a snowball sampling where we ask current mentors who else they know. We have mentor mixers, again, inviting current mixers and those who have always shown interest in mentoring, so that they can, get some real-time advice from current mentors and figure out if that's indeed what they'd like to do. I would say first and foremost, they have to be willing to meet with a student at least twice a month, meet in person, to keep in contact with a student once a week electronically. So that could be text message, that could be email. That also means attending some of our already planned out student activities. We have great activities, including Lake Day. We paint pumpkins in fall. We do gingerbread house decorating for winter. And then they have to be willing to keep in touch with me because it helps us to, while a lot of that mentorship is, between the mentor and the student, the mentor being able to keep up to connect with me and for us to be able to talk with each other allows us to, again, provide all of the resources that that student needs. I have seen the impact of students feeling that they are valued, feeling that they are special enough to be matched with someone who either has experienced some of the similar things that they have, or have not experienced those same things, but seem to be successful in their eyes. So outside of the feeling of value that students have, again, I often get reports back from mentors that that those students have touched their lives in unexpected ways, and that those mentors, just by helping students goal set, also begin to look at their own goals and either revisited them or added on new ones. So those are some of the really cool returns that I've seen from the mentorship program. There is a pretty big need for male mentors, specifically in this metro area. I would say specifically Black men are definitely needed. We don't see a lot of Black men in teaching positions in the school system, in some, executive positions in this area. And so where else are some of our young men going to see, leadership, and people who, are not necessarily perfect? I think that's what the other benefit of mentoring is discovering that, people got to where they are because they really had to work through some things. I would also say that, we need men in general, for whatever background. I found that locally they're a little bit more willing to have more of a shorter term commitment, like in terms of career coaching. But, I think more and more we will begin to garner the interest in mentoring, which again is longer term. Some of the goals of the mentoring program are an increase in some of the outcomes that come with mentoring. The national program Mentor has already done some research on those outcomes, and those include increase of attendance at school, increase of participation in extracurricular activities, higher grades. And what's even more interesting is that students who are mentored report back, 99% of them report back that they also would like to be a mentor. Those are exciting statistics. And so Bridges mentorship program is one that wants to mirror what that research has done. Oh, of course, I've mentioned Bridges is here for students who are homeless due to no fault of their own. And what that means again is that they've done nothing to become homeless, but unfortunately, sometimes a parent or guardian is not able, for whatever reason, to provide that student with what they need in terms of shelter. We also know that sometimes that means electricity and other utilities. And so when we thought about the spot, we thought about it being a place that is able to be preventative for youth between the ages of 14 to 21, so that they don't have to necessarily come to Bridges. We initially want it to be a place where students can hang out and feel safe, but that if we find that there are some more intensive needs, then we're able to address those by providing resources at the spot. For example, of course, the coronavirus hit, and that did slow down the number of students that we began seeing at the spot and walking into the spot. But if we were to come across a student who begins to say, you know, my mom is worried, rent may not be paid, and I'm not sure where we'll live if there's no rent. Well, because of some of the resources and connections that we have, for example, with the city of Norman, you know, we're able to advise that student and potentially their parent coming in that, well, landlords are supposed to hold off on, you know, on evictions, and then to also be able to provide them with other resources to help pay bills or, you know, meet some of the other needs. One of the stories that the executive director for Bridges, Stacey Bruce, likes to tell is about one of the students. We've actually talked about the student today, who explained to them that they'd gotten into a fight in middle school. And she had a question like, why did you get into the fight? And he explained, well, the person was telling me that I didn't smell good, that I stank, that I, you know, just, you know, was ugly. And so come to find out that, you know, mom didn't have access to a washer and dryer. And again, Stacy thought, you know, what if we were able to provide at least a washer and dryer or shower at the spot? And initially we did think that we were going to have those things there. But as life does, we had to pivot because while it's a very cool space, I would love for people to join us and take a tour. The piping, the pipes there just weren't able to accommodate what we needed to have built in. So that, you know, that's it. That was kind of the idea. It was to make it a space for students to be able to hang out, but then also to initially to take a shower, to wash clothes. And right now there's a ping pong table. There's 4 TV monitors where students are able to do gaming, watch TV shows. I think WandaVision is a kind of a series that they've really been enjoying there. And if people walk in right now, they're going to see that the spot is in the middle of a mural project. We have a volunteer there named Pixie Quigley who has headed up this mural project called the Blank Slate Project. And students from Norman High, Norman North, Dimensions, and some of the middle schools are there adding on just gorgeous artistic expression to 2 of their walls. At first it was going to be all 3 walls. And I said, no, I love art, but we have to have an eye break. That is also part of art, is being able to either have an accent or an eye break so that the eyes are able to enjoy the rest of the art. So that's what's going on right now. And I would say that while COVID was an issue at first with getting, you know, after we had some momentum at the beginning of 2020 and then over the summer, it did slow down numbers. We are back to where there's a good group of students coming in for the mural project and just to hang out and also receive tutoring as well. Any kids between the ages of 14 to 21. There's also a pretty cool Instagrammable wall there. It says, we saved a spot for you. It's bright yellow, and some students have enjoyed just taking a picture in front of there, and it makes others, you know, wonder where they are. So yeah, it's definitely a neat place for students to be. What I really like about that age range is not only are we getting, again, being preventative when we're reaching sort of the lower end of that age range at 14, but also we're going all the way up to the age of 21. One of my other several hats that I wear is that I teach public relations writing and research at the University of Oklahoma. And I can tell you that just because a student is a college student, homelessness doesn't go away. I say that because I was teaching at the end of one of the classes I taught. And after I explained to them what I do during the day, a student came up to me and said, I am so glad to hear that you are helpful to young people, because I am right now living in my car and I'm not sure exactly, what I need to do next. And so that gave me an opportunity to not only talk to her about what OU provides, but then also I think what some OU students are afraid of are people a little bit too close to what their life is on college campus. So the benefit of this spot is we're not very far. We're at 526 West Main Street. And if they still need the help up until the age of 21, then they can just come in and we can still provide them with some sort of resources, referrals, or again, a place to hang out and study. I would say, again, it does not take a lot of time at all. And a lot of people these days are a little bit worried about the time that they have. However, the time that you have to be able to give back in a relatively short amount of commitment is huge for a student who hears and feels that they are valued and that they are worth being poured into, and being given the resources and your particular network. So I encourage mentors for sure to look at different programs, not just Bridges, but look at different programs and see where they might be a match. And while I give all of the holiday phone calls and text messages, I continue to get those same sorts of Mother's Day greetings. I also, I'm the advisor for a lot of them well beyond their living here. And it is humbling, and it is something that allows me to stay young and connected with what's going on in the career industry, as well as what's going on in their world. So it's something that I think people will enjoy if they just carve out the time to do it, and that time is very minimal.